Hello everybody, me again today. This is 3 videos in one day, quite unusual for me, but this one's quite important. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon Earthlings. I hope you're all doing really well. The video earlier, we touched a little bit on the subject of how I think that people should have to provide identification in order to be on social media. And I do firmly believe that. And I read the comments, and some of you are strongly in favour and some of you strongly against. And some of you have concerns about that idea. So this video is really to start opening up the discussion of this, because one person actually said, I'm a cyberbully for daring to talk about this. What the hell? No, I'm not going to be shut down, told to shut up because somebody doesn't agree with me. I have plenty of people who comment on here who disagree with me, and I leave the comments, I fully support them, and I actively encourage them. So whoever that person is, not only don't tell me to shut up, don't ever tell anybody else to shut up because they have a different opinion. That's dictatorial. Also, I've got to warn you all, Megan's here on the channel. There's a particular, that's another subject I want to talk about on this one. And I'm sure it's her. I'm sure it's her, because if you scoot back just quickly through a few of my videos over the last week, in fact, and beyond, I always say nice things about her. I say she's a very attractive woman. The video the other day, I said I loved her shoulders. I thought that her skin looked great. That's not good enough for this particular account, and that's what makes me think it's Meghan. And I'm breaking the 11th commandment. Thou shalt worship Meghan Markle. So I'm only allowed to say nice things about her. I expect that account will disappear quite soon, and it's a vicious account. It loves to go on about Graham's cancer. Wouldn't it be interesting? Now that's what brings me to the subject of everybody should have to give their identification if they want to be on social media. And that will happen, it will come, and there'll come a time in 20, 30, 40 years when people will look back and in disbelief that people were ever allowed to set up accounts. It would firstly prevent one person from setting up multiple sock puppet accounts. It would stop trolls, largely speaking. The way I would set it up is so that everyone has a username, so no one in the public domain knows your identity. Only the social media platform knows. In the eventuality that someone wants to sue, or you're going to be arrested by the police. One of those two eventualities. Now, I would also suggest that it goes hand in glove with legislation, and it would have to be country by country, but I think each country will follow and copy other countries. Legislation that says all social media platforms, when operating, let's say for instance the United Kingdom, any citizen on YouTube, for example, Twitter, Facebook, Facebook people are supposed to identify, Instagram, any of them, if a citizen in the United Kingdom has been deplatformed, demonetized, had their comments deleted, had swarm attacks, that there would be legislation in England and Wales that would say that individual has rights to get answers as to why that decision was made, who made that decision. Again, that would come into play because the person working at the social media platform would have to identify themselves with their identity. And if you have legislation, normally in England and Wales, at the end, they tell you how you can appeal. So even if the social media company said, yes, we just threw this commenter off because we didn't like their comments, that person has the right to apply. Here in Gibraltar, we have the Gibraltar Regulatory Authority. In the UK, I think it's the Information Commissioner's Office. And they're pretty toothless in this regard, in this particular problem, with anonymous trolls on social media. And then the person could go to the magistrates and appeal and say, I didn't get a good enough answer, or I didn't get any answer from the social media. And there could be online appeals, like you have Nottingham online CCJs in the UK. It would be very easy to set up. Now, the reason it horrifies some of you is the thought of, oh, more government control, more. No. At the moment, I think there are about 113 million channels on YouTube. Now, channels, that's you guys as well as me and people like me. Because when you have a YouTube account, you instantly have the ability to upload videos. So they class everything as a channel, I'm pretty sure. Of the monetized ones, like this channel, I think there's about 2 million. So they already look after my data, Graham's data, Trevor's data, lots of YouTubers' data, and I've never had a data breach. In order to open a bank account, your bank holds data. There could just as easily be a data breach there. There are lots of places where people hold your data. There are pretty strong data protection laws in existence already. And that's why, because some of you have said, well, what if the social media has got my real identity from very bad experiences recently, as we've seen, that with the left wing in charge, and then the people who are right wing feel, victimised, and other people feel if the right wing are in charge, then left wing, like what's happened to Nigel Farage, that you could be penalised for having an opinion or your political beliefs. And that's why I say it should go hand in glove, so that we all have rights and obligations, but we all have freedoms and rights ourselves. So it should go hand in glove with legislation that says that if a certain decision is made about you or your channel or your social media platform, then you have the legal right to have a full and unredacted explanation as to why, and that you then have the ability to go to the magistrates and start an appeal process. So there are rules. Social media do need to come under rules and regulations. At the moment, being unregulated, social media is running wild. There are so many advantages to people having to give their identification and prove who they are and receive some sort of postcard. I get where Graham was coming from earlier, saying when people pay, but I mean, someone could set up a PayPal account quite easily and hide their identity. For a start, it would eliminate all bots. They'd be gone. Not allowed to be on social media unless you're a real person and you can prove it. The bots would be gone. Therefore, there would be no opportunity for election fraud or manipulation. Because I do believe that political parties of all persuasions all over the world hire bots to give the impression that the masses are in favour of them. And I think that's election fraud. In my opinion, that should be outlawed. That should not be allowed. Elections are about democracy. They're about real individuals making decisions. It's not right if you get someone who's rich or who's a politician, or for whatever reason, they just say, well, I can go out and spend a couple of $1,000s and I can have some millions of bots go out there and attack people. It would also be very interesting because, as we all know, Christopher Boozy, featured on Meghan and Harry's Netflix docuseries, he has a thing called Bot Sentinel. I think a lot of you have been attacked by Meghan fans. Now, let's just go into Fiona's fantasy world for a minute, because legally speaking, that's where we've got to go when I say these things. Fiona's imagination. There's troll farms out there which are actually sugars. There are paid bots which are actually sugars. All that would come to an end. And not only that, people on Twitter who've been particularly vicious, suddenly they run the risk of their identity being revealed and going, oh no, I was being paid by Archewell or someone famous or President Biden or whoever. That person is going to crack like an egg. They'll pop faster than a packet of crisps, believe me. Put them in the cells, coppers grilling them. They're going to go, oh, it wasn't me, I was being paid $2,000, panic, 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 panic. And you get to the bottom of it, and there might be some interesting headlines coming out of that. Now, I am firmly of the belief that the majority of people who troll have absolutely no idea of the damage that they cause. I don't think they realise. And I think a lot of them are very, very shy people who don't want confrontation, and people who just want it as a release valve, and they go home in the evening, or they might be doing it during the day at work, and they're just vicious. They are the complete opposite of what they are in their working life, let's say, for example. And I think that's why they do it. They're very, very weak and feeble-minded people. My history on the internet is, I became aware of it in '93, probably along with a lot of other people, and I've always been Fiona. I have had usernames on places where, you know, you can't have anything else, but I've never hidden who I am, because I've always been of the firm belief, if I'm going to say something to someone, I'll say it like I'm saying to their face, and they're standing in front of me. I have never trolled anybody, and I just can't understand people who do it. I mean, that's an incredibly negative thing, because they can never get good feedback back. They're going to get horrible messages back, lots of negativity. I think also a lot of people, I think there's a high suicide rate, you know, when people have trolls come at them en masse, swarms of them can be overwhelming and alarming. And I just don't feel people would do that or feel comfortable to do that if they have to provide their own identification. And in this day and age, they hold so much data on all of us, don't they? So much. I was actually quite horrified when I discovered Facebook, because I've always made the active decision to be me and say, this is me on the internet, not hide behind anything. And I'm not saying you guys are hiding behind anything. I understand if you want, you don't want people looking up your backside and all your private business, especially not with trolls out there. But what I'm suggesting is you'd have the username, so you have the protection shield. Because I see a lot of you guys comment on here. I've never seen anything hateful from the majority of commenters here. Never, not even towards Meghan, not towards Harry. Just thought-provoking, kind comments. But you have to agree and admit that these types of people, they do occasionally come along. They do exist, and they do a lot of damage. So yeah, Facebook horrified me because the rule was you've got to put your face and you've got to put your real name. And I just always felt that's a recipe for disaster. And it looked to me like a tax form or a police statement or something like that. I just thought, what is this social media? I hated Facebook from the beginning. I went on it intermittently over the years and I just dumped it in 2018. So it's great that everybody can have a username, you know, like I love kiddies or something. But if I love kiddies suddenly has someone come along called, I don't know, Dark Sun, and Dark Sun is bullying and bullying and bullying I Love Kiddies, it's great for I Love Kiddies to go to the police and say, look what this person's doing. Because the police at the moment are very reluctant because it's not easy for them to find out who someone is. Believe me, I know, because of stuff going on behind the scenes at the moment, and there's been a major breakthrough. And so that's why there's a lot of stuff going on that I can't say, because it has to be presented in court at a later date. But then I Love Kitty could go to the police and they could go, yeah, we got the tool. We got the legislation. This Dark Sun cannot be on Twitter unless they have provided actual identification. If they go and it's a fake passport, well, that's another criminal offence. But if it was, say, a monetized YouTuber who hides their identity and they'd been persistently bullying someone, then they could actually say to the platform, can you demonetize them and tell them that you will send them a postcard so that when they receive the code, and we'll be looking at the address and we'll get them when they go to the address. It opens up so many more possibilities for the police and also for lawsuits, because some people, I mean, Piers Morgan has had death threats. Lots of the celebrities have death threats. I think he actually had someone went to prison for that. I don't agree with very, very, very long sentences for trolls. I agree with Graham, no more than 12 months. But you'd be surprised if a lot of these people out there realised, oh, holy crap, the platform now knows who I really am, and they know where I live, then I think you'd find 90% of the manners would calm down, generally speaking, on Twitter. And the few that would persist, who would ultimately become caught, then a short, sharp shot, probably just seeing the police knocking on the door would freak them out sufficiently. So that's what I feel, and that moment is coming. I cannot stand bots. I can't emphasise how much I hate them. I hate the fact that celebrities and politicians can buy these hideous little creatures of maths and unleash them on the population generally. I hate that people feel that it's okay. I mean, it's shocking, actually. What if suddenly tomorrow all countries said murder's no longer illegal? You can do what you like. It makes me wonder how many people out there would go, oh, I know someone I want to murder, and they'd actually go and do it. You know, it's the fact there's a law saying don't do it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't actually need a law to say don't do that. But maybe some people do, because I feel there should be a law to stop trolls from especially antagonising teenagers and suicide rates. But clearly there's a lot of people out there who still don't know that's a bad thing to do. Anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions. I won't bother you again today. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts, whether you think it's a really bad idea, it's like dark state, nanny state, or whether you think, the time has come. I mean, it gets out of hand. And I think that the pros far outweigh the cons on this one. And let's face it, we are all being controlled anyway. that the government, the mainstream media, it's an ever-evolving thing, and we do all fight back. But I think this would actually stop a lot of their naughtiness and nonsense, because I do believe political parties use bots, and they would be foobarred, as we say in the UK, and unable to do it any longer. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you below.